Welcome everyone. This is Benjamin Minko. I'm Crypto Michael. Today we're going to discuss Elrond with the CEO. It's a pleasure that I'm having him here as he is quite busy, just like myself. Thank you for being here, Benjamin. How are you doing?
Michael, really great to be here. I'm great. It's just another good day to push things forward, and happy to have this conversation.
Wonderful. And before we are going to discuss Elrond, I always want to ask you some stuff about who you are.
Mhm.
Could you tell us something about your background and what brought you into Elrond or into the blockchain space?
Sure. I've been in the blockchain space for more than 7 years now, which is crazy to speak about a space that has just emerged and so forth. Of course, I initially stumbled into blockchain through Bitcoin, discovered Bitcoin I would say 2013. Went deep down the rabbit hole, studied everything I could, understood the potential impact of Bitcoin, and then also understood some limitations. I basically joined the NEM core team afterwards in 2014, was with the project for some time, more than about 1.5 years. And then in 2016, because a lot of things were becoming very clear that were sort of problematic for the technology, I started a fund together with my brother, and we've invested in some of the most advanced and interesting technical architectures in the space from the standpoint of trying to solve some of the deepest problems that we saw. And then at the end of 2017, after basically solving the money problem with the fund, we and still seeing that none of the projects would deliver a solution that was really needed to bring blockchain to widespread adoption. We've essentially gathered a team with which we can literally build rockets, super smart and very hardcore people with PhDs in computer science, Olympiads in math, and engineers from some of the top companies in the world, all of them friends of ours. We've gathered this team, and then this is how we started Elrond. We had this very strong idea that if we were to see blockchain taken to widespread adoption, we would need what is called an internet scale blockchain, sort of a transition very similar to that of the internet from dial-up to broadband. And this is why we started Elrond. This is why we're here, and happy to tell you more about how that came along.
We're going to discuss it definitely, but like you were saying, you want to build rockets. So, did you include Elon Musk already in your team, or are you still working on that?
Always working on that. Always working on that. I think everyone is working on that. We'll see.
I see. Well, you have been working in different landscapes before. You said you had the fund, you had some different professions before. What is different in the blockchain space in comparison with the others? I mean, that there maybe some more flexibility or more open-minded.
No, so the actually all the elements were in the blockchain space.
Mm.
So the fund and everything was in the space. So I saw basically all the facets of the game, both from the outsider that initially stumbles into things, discovered this potentially highly impactful technology, to the point where you're a builder, one of the team members, and so forth, to the point where you've basically financed some of the initially very promising sounding ideas, but then you see that there's a very high difficulty in transforming an idea, taking it. It sounds really good on paper, but then going through the hell of building this idea and shipping it into production. And I think this is where Elrond is probably different, very different than and perhaps any other project in the space, because we've started from almost nothing. We've built this team and shipped a technology that was considered almost impossible when we've presented it. So this was the critique that this can never be built. Look at all the other teams that are trying something similar, but they've never succeeded. And we said back then, and we're saying it even now, that it's precisely that the others have not succeeded, that we need another, perhaps more determined and hardcore team to really go through the pains of building this and shipping a technology to the market. What we saw back then, and I think is very clear now, is with Elrond, we're trying to do two things. First, we're trying to build a high bandwidth, low latency, transparent financial system. And secondly, make this financial system universally accessible, that is accessible to anyone, anywhere in the world. And the question is then, how do we do this? Well, the first part we're doing through the Elrond network, this new blockchain architecture that we've built that is 1,000 times more scalable and capable of processing more throughput and in a more inexpensive manner than Bitcoin or Ethereum. And Elrond is live, it's open source, it can process more than 15,000 transactions per second. And with the cost that is now probably 100,000 times cheaper than Ethereum or something like that. So it's really important that this technology is now live. And then secondly, of course, beyond solving the technical problem, we understand that if we are to see this technology taken to the mainstream, that so that everyone really uses it, we need a user experience that is very different to what we see in the blockchain space today. And this is why we've built Myar, which is the simplest sort of interaction with the coolest features in the blockchain space. It allows you to send money to your contacts via a phone number. It allows you to send money via a hero tag, which is basically a username that you can send money to. You can send not only eGold, but Binance and Ethereum, and very soon Bitcoin and so forth. But fundamentally, what we, I think, understand very well is that with these two components, we can enable the next billion people to come in the blockchain space. And it's this opportunity that is much larger than anything we've seen up until this point that will impact our lives, friends, community, countries. It's this why we are pushing day and night and are so excited about Elrond.
Well, it's funny that you're saying about the user experience. Like, if you go further in the ecosystems or in the DeFi space, do you believe that my mom and my dad should be using the app without knowing its blockchain? Is that one of the key figures or like key metrics that's still standing behind mass adoption? And then the second one is that there is still high gas fees on Ethereum, which is also a big issue for those big platforms. That is another issue that is standing back from mass adoption. Are those two the key points?
Precisely. So I believe that most of the companies or projects basically focus on the wrong kind of the problem. Namely, we're about 100 million people currently in the blockchain space, and we forget that we're almost 8 billion people in the world. Just think about how large the opportunity is. But then the question is, if the opportunity is so large, why have these people not yet joined the space? And here, the simple answer that is extremely important to understand is that we're just as in the early days of the internet. You had a very important technology, which was very difficult to use. But then when the browser came, at that point, everyone could point and click and start browsing the web without having to understand all the protocols, without having to understand the technology. This is crucial for widespread adoption. Um, more than that, I also believe that in order to see the wave of decentralized applications that really need to take shape, you need the transition from dial-up to broadband, because dial-up is pretty slow. You cannot build anything on it. Just imagine today trying to build Facebook on dial-up. It's crazy, right? But it's precisely what we see with the applications and what we see with the experience that you've described. The problem is so large that people are not even trying anymore. Like when you're having to pay $100 for a transactions, then this whole thing becomes very, very funny. And so coming to Elrond, we're essentially offering this great experience, simple experience, so that our parents will be able to use this and experiment with transfers of money, but also DeFi in a way that they don't have to understand anything about the protocols, about the technology, and can only focus on the benefits they really need.
Well, it's also important you have been mentioning those gas fees. Is that what I feel in my what I see on social media is that people holding the projects or believing in certain project are quite like hooligans, right? I'm quite interested to know from you is you are believing in the Elrond project, you are working hard for that mass adoption, but would you see an ecosystem with Elrond alone, or are you going to be working together with other platforms as well? And just like we have a different WhatsApp in South America, we use WeChat in China. Do you believe that there are going to be multiple ecosystems, or is it going to be Elrond alone?
Uh, no, what I believe is that we're in front of a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity here. This is larger than anything we've seen, and larger than anything since the invention of the internet. So it's hard to grasp the real implications and the magnitude of how our lives will look when technology really works at how it should. Now, moving forward, I believe that Bitcoin will not go away. Bitcoin will still be a multi-trillion-dollar asset. Ethereum again will not go away. It will very likely, even though it has some limitations, it still has a critical mass of community and so forth. It will likely be a trillion-dollar asset as well, just because it has so large a community. But what I believe specifically is that Elrond can enable an even larger ecosystem than both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this, of course, might sound outlandish for someone who maybe has seen only Bitcoin until now or only Ethereum. But you have to understand that it's everything is math at the end of the day. So it's number of users that are part of the ecosystem, are using the ecosystem, are contributing to the ecosystem, and the supplies and economics of the currencies.
Hmm.
Elrond is here to be complementary to Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're not a Bitcoin killer, not an Ethereum killer. We understand that this ecosystem, probably most important, is to bring the benefits to the users, and whoever wants to contribute to creating this high bandwidth, low latency, transparent economy, and making it accessible to anyone, anywhere, is very, very welcome. Because at the end of the day, the question becomes, why are these two things so important to us? And I maybe to answer this, I would say that if we think really hard about the economic problems that we have today, there are two economics problems that are much larger than anything else. The first one is prevalent in developed countries, and this is you have a broken system in the sense that it's built on old, inefficient technology, expensive technology, and it has broken incentives, sort of perverse incentives. No transparency, just different kind of incentives. And I believe that if you could replace this with a high bandwidth, low latency, transparent system, then you could effectively accelerate the entire economy. You don't have to wait until overnight transfers. You don't have to wait over weekends. Everything is automatic. People can build new companies, transfer value, and do these things with a speed that would be unbelievable or unimaginable with the current technology. And then the second element, perhaps the second most important problem, is a distribution or accessibility problem, in the sense that you have many people that don't have any type of access to financial systems, and it's 1.7 billion people that are unbanked, and that still strive for their life every day because of subsistence and so forth. And I believe that it is even for these people that with a mobile phone that they can immediately access a new type of system and start creating, building some value, and storing some of their values, right? Because this is a very important problem there. So to sum up, we're in front of this major wave of adoption, where the financial system will gradually move with money, with financial instruments, with stock exchange. All of this will be on the settlement layer that is the blockchain. This is super obvious. It's not even, it's not like I'm discussing this 10 years ago, which would be I'm not sure, outlandish. But right now, with Elon Musk coming out and showing his support for what's happening, I think we've seen Deutsche Bank, we've seen a lot of other banks, very serious players, making the moves. And Elrond is here to enable all of this and accelerate the wave. For states, we want to help them. If they want, they can take Elrond and issue stable coins, like fiat stable coins, and we encourage that very much. For banks, if they want, we want to help them. Again, they can issue stable coins or build other services, and we are very much encouraging them. Or for startups or business people, there are so many opportunities that it's just about imagination and putting the hard work in. That's all.
Well, you have been discussing this, and thanks for this long answer on this question. But you've been discussing the overall question of bank the unbanked, and that's also an ethical question, as there you live in Eastern Europe, and there's a big gap between rich and poor, at least for what I'm understanding
Mhm.
from the Western Europe part. You've built Myjar, that's just came out. What
Mhm.
is it in short again, and how are you going to approach those people that do not really have a mobile phone or don't have that money liquidity to make those decisions? Like there's two different groups. One group who's just having an income, etc. They want to use Elrond for fast transactions towards the other parts of the world, etc. and DeFi. But there's also the other group that just don't have that much access, require a digital identity, a wallet, etc. How are you going to implement that into Myjar?
Sure. So Maya is, I believe, the simplest social money wallet in the world at this point. It's non-custodial, extremely simple to onboard and interact with, and gives you the fastest experience of what a currency really means, a cryptocurrency. And then you can discover lessons to learn. You can discover friends. You can have a gamification there just to play around and do different things. But fundamentally, this layer has some of the most important technology that we've built in Elrond integrated. For instance, we have a distributed DNS that is built in so that we can enable the hero tags or usernames. And then for the user, all this becomes very simple, because just as with email, where you just have to type in some names of the people you know, of your friends, and then you can send the text. This makes it super appealing, right? This is how things should be with money as well. And it's surprising that after so many years, money has sort of very strangely not become natively digital. And what has slowed things down is just do this exercise and imagine sending an email to to a 32 string character list instead of a username, right? How crazy would that be? How much would this slow down the adoption? And the more you think about it, the more surprising it becomes that this is still the case with blockchain. And coming back to the question, so Maiar is the simplest interaction that gives you the best technology in the space. It will integrate several currencies. It will later integrate fiat stable coins from different entities. And what it does is, of course, for all the people that want to explore the space, you'll discover DeFi, you'll discover many elements here, but specifically for the simple person that maybe doesn't have access to different things, basic financial infrastructure, I think this will be the first step that they do in joining this new movement, because the question is always, what's the use case for them? Well, they might have some money or some value, but they cannot store it anywhere. And this will mean that every day they wake up, they have a family. If someone doesn't give them work, they can only do stuff for that day. And the next day is starting from scratch. So first thing is you want to work a bit more and put something for the other days, for the bad days. Second, when you want to put that, you want to store it, to be able to store it in something that is digital, it's smart, it's super simple to use, and gives you a broader access to the economy. And this will sound very, very small to someone who's living in a good country and so forth, but it's surprising how much of the development actually starts with this type of very small steps that are enabled to a simple smartphone. And you'll be surprised to know that 6 billion people in the world have smartphones, right? So it's the opportunity is there. We just need the simplest solutions that allow them to store some value, to then exchange it very easily with friends or with business partners and so forth, or even with the guy that pays you, right? And you don't lose half of the money due to inflation and so forth. So this is why we believe that Maiar will make a huge difference for the new or unbanked people, as well as for the banked people that want to explore more sophisticated services.
It's also interesting that what you've been saying is that some people are literally working from day to day and living day by day, while most of the people that are going to listen have an horizon of several years. So if you start to understand that, that's a very important thing in the approach of your company or in the approach of your project. However, right now you've launched Maiar. It's live for a few months now, close to it. 1 month?
No, not even that. So
Oh, I'm my apologies.
so we've launched Maiar for barely 3 weeks now, and it has had a huge impact in both adoption, excitement, and so forth. Just to understand, we've had Elrond launched since 31st of July last year
Mhm.
as the Elrond network. And then for more than 6 months, we've had something like 115,000 accounts on the network created and about 1 million transactions processed. And then with Maiar, in 4 days, we basically exceeded 2 million transactions processed and 200,000 accounts in 4 days. This is what adoption really looks like. And we're now at more than 200,000 users after 3 weeks. This is hugely successful. We're seeing a very, very good response and positive response. A lot of other features are coming, like staking and other currencies. And most importantly, DeFi, but made available to the average user. This will be extremely, extremely exciting.
Well, do you believe that it's an outside question, but what we have witnessed with GameStop and all the stuff that's happened there and the overall question about the financial markets and our system we have, is that going to accelerate the overall run towards DeFi? And that's also going to accelerate the run towards more users to your platform, do you believe?
For sure. So again, the problem for DeFi has been we have some cool protocols build on a broken infrastructure, which limits your growth, right? But then there's the second problem of user experience. If user experience really sucks or is requires rocket science, then you'll have 10 people playing with this cool technology, and that's all, right? But Maiar is here to take DeFi to its natural conclusion, to say, let's build these tools on the best technology possible with high speed, high bandwidth, low transaction cost. And then secondly, let's make it as simple as possible so that people from all over the world, instead of borrowing money from other people or other institutions, they borrow money through the lending protocol and so forth. So I think this is extremely useful because DeFi for the normal people will just mean simpler loans, cheaper like loans to do your stuff during the day, and a different kind of economy where you can swap different things very easily and so forth. So I'm 100% convinced that during the next period, as we put these modules in Maiar, we're going to see a wave that is incomparable to that which we have right now in the space.
Well, we have been discussing the entire perspectives of Elrond and Maya, and you've been quite bullish about that. Well, you're the CEO as well. There's also some side notes and some critics, and one of the stuff that I want to discuss first is regulations. How are you
Mhm.
going to attack or handle those? As for instance, the ECB gave some papers surrounding the overall regulation of crypto, etc., and you're going to use fiat stable currencies or these
Sure.
tokens. How are you going to attack that? As there are so many countries that you're going to focus on.
Um, the very important note here is to understand that Elrond is fundamentally not opposed ideologically with the state or with different organizations and so forth, as long as they really care about the user, right? So our mission is to enable this very, very important technology to the end user all over the world. So what we are going to do is not only work with the regulators to understand their challenges, to address some of their challenges, to make it clear that money laundering, for the money laundering, for instance, the best currency is the US dollar. It's not digital currencies. In fact, I would say that you would have to be to some degree a bit stupid to use digital currencies because they have a digital footprint. Everything is tracked. There are this is not a smart move, right?
Mhm.
So this going beyond this, we want to work with them. We want to provide them this type of technology for themselves. So just imagine a state looking at this technology and saying, wouldn't it be great for me to offer all the people, citizens in this country, this type of technology tomorrow? Well, that would be great, and we encourage it. This is why we tell them, come and issue a digital stablecoin, a fiat stablecoin that is for your country, and then use Maiar and then explore things. Why lose the time? Just as with the internet, it's like the internet is happening. What will you do? Will you regulate it to death and lose this opportunity to improve your country, to improve the good sort of the life of the people in your country? Or will you just adopt it, make the best of it? Of course, be careful not to damage things and so forth. And this is what we are trying to do. Be clear that we are supporting anyone who wants to improve the people's lives, and we're seeing a very positive response up until this point.
So you're basically saying that there will be more majors like Miami flipping over and going to adapt to us cryptocurrencies, as that's what we saw happening in the past few weeks as well.
I'm 100% convinced. In fact, I think when the first large either state or city makes this public, it will be like an arms race. It seems like you have two situations here. First, you have a Mexican standoff. Nobody, like people pretend nothing is happening for as long as they can. No, nothing is happening. This is bad. It's whatever. And then when Elon Musk starts to make a move and the mayor of Miami starts to make a move and a few other things happen, then you're going to see everyone like in 1 or 2 weeks. It's going to be super crazy, and then you're going to ask, where were you 6 months or 3 months or 2 years when you said quite the opposite. But this is it seems to me a strategic game. States are want, sometimes they want the good for their citizen, to protect them and so forth, but perhaps this is not something to want, you want to be protected from. This is something you want to explore with. And the smarter states, I think, will be the ones that adopt the technology and will also leverage this to gain a very significant economic advantage.
Well, it's also funny that you see. I've been in the space for several years now as well, and I do see that there are big communities in Eastern Europe, like Slovenia, Slovakia, Czechia. There's big communities in cryptocurrencies. Do you think that those like not developed countries believe that they can actually start pacing up if they start to adapt towards blockchain and cryptocurrencies? Are they
Yes.
more flexible towards a new technology like blockchain, as you are also from that area?
So I believe that at the end of the day, wherever you are, if you have the brains and determination and can put the effort in, like not sleeping days, not eating and so forth, just to make something happen, there's nothing that can stop you. And this is regardless of where you are in the US or where you are in Eastern Europe or in Africa. It's more like the thing which we've seen is that for some reason, a lot of crazy, hardworking, super smart people have gathered in places like Silicon Valley before and so forth, just because that was really cool. That was a place where they appreciate this type of thing. So I think by recognizing that you can do this anywhere, that there is no fundamental limitation that cannot be overcome if you're resourceful enough. This will encourage a lot of other people to try to have the discussions with their states. And we're certainly seeing states, even in Europe, entire Europe, having a lot of discussions recently about this, researching and so forth. And again, I believe that it will not be up to the, let's say, how should I put it? The smartest or the most resourceful people will understand the opportunity and just move forward. It's like with the internet. Do you want as a country to really profit your citizens to have a better life? You want internet. It will be like that with blockchain as well. If you are the last one, then yeah, it will not be a too fun situation, I guess.
Well, that's actually true. Yeah. Well, another topic I would love to discuss with you is that the DeFi market is growing really fast. However, there are also some major issues, and we've seen rug pulls. We have seen smart contract server attacks in DeFi sector, like over 150 million was lost because of this in the past year. How do you believe that this problem can be tackled, and what is Elrond going to do to avoid any of these big rug pulls or issues that those smart contracts have?
Sure. The problem here is that you basically have a lot of complex software protocols being built and shipped, sometimes maybe half irresponsibly, from people, and just because they're anonymous, and mostly it's with good intentions, right? You're trying to build stuff. Sometimes it's too complex. You don't have enough time to test things and so forth. So I'm all for exploration, but then I'm equally stringent on the security side. In fact, we believe that you should basically embed the highest standards of security from the design of the module. So when you're discussing a DeFi module, then in the design you want to have discussions with security auditors, so that they review the things. Then as you build things, again, you want to have them tested out as much as possible. You have auditors not only auditing the code and specs, but you want penetration testing. Can I break this apart? Can I really break it down or take it down? If you can do this before, then you're basically sparing the resources that you'll have to basically pay anyway as things break apart. I'm not saying that there are situations where if you do this, you won't get hacked, but it's more probabilistic, where you say, I do everything I can, highest level of security. This is what we do at Elrond. We're working with top level security guys. In fact, we're even working with formal verification guys, which is, if you want the most rigorous thing possible, that takes the longest time also, but eliminates any kind of technical problem that you will encounter, is this kind of formal modeling where everything you have, you translate into a formal code of math. And then if it stands, uh, if the math stands without a problem, then you can really move forward. And this is what we're trying to do. I would encourage everyone to take the steps, test things out. Yeah, other than that, you also want to push things. So it's not like you can wait 3 years to basically launch something, but security is non-negotiable, and we can always improve that, and this is what we're trying to do at Elrond.
Well, what you have been saying is that you want to move forward with everything and want to accelerate heavily, and that's all about positivity as well. Um,
Sure, and I would also add that DeFi is very early, and Elrond will have a very important say in DeFi. It's coming, and it's coming in a very meaningful way, and we're quite excited about that. But again, we've taken the measures to make sure that things are clear. They can stand from a security standpoint. Then when we launch. We're convinced that the community will be extraordinarily excited.
well, you're not lacking any confidence, and that's quite similar here for people living in Amsterdam. So if I have any Dutch listeners, they will feel the same. But I've just said like about moving forward, and Elrond is progressing fast. You're doing that in a very good job. You also get FUD towards you, and people are going to attack you, whether it's fundamental or not, especially if the price, so the price value of Elrond is dropping down. People call it a scam, etc. How are you going to handle with that negativity towards your project? Are you just completely ignoring it, or are you going to respond to it? What is your approach in that?
Sure. Uh, what we are trying to do here is understand that most people maybe do not have a background or of what's happening. That they don't really take a look at the facts. They don't care about fundamentals. They're just maybe overreacting. Usually, this is what the market does to you. If you look at the market will either make you euphoric or super depressed. It will not be in the middle. You're either, like I said, super depressed or euphoric that everything is great and so forth. So understanding this gives us the angle here of how we're trying to encourage our community, how we're tackling this ourselves. So first, we're always trying to discuss things clear, clarify them, show the facts, and then let the people make the decisions. Of course, as we've discussed, you always, as you grow, you will have larger trolls that fight you. It's like in a video game. You cannot win this level without fighting the big boss for that level. So some level of friction will always come, and sometimes you get nervous. Sometimes something pisses you off. This happens, but the idea is you really want to keep focus. The only way to win is by making real progress. It's not by having all discussions. It's not by staying and explaining everything. Is, have you made progress since our last discussion or not? If you don't make progress, then you'll make even less progress in the future, even less in the future, and then everything stops. But on the other hand, if you're nice, reasonable, rational, and have the discussions as friendly as you can, but most importantly, focus on making progress. What we've learned is we've had some trolls with Elrond at 10 million. We've had some trolls at 100 million. We've had some trolls at 1 billion. And guess what? Most of the trolls that we've had before are not here now because they at some point the troll usually loses energy. This is why it's important to really keep focus, and I would encourage the entire community to basically take this step by step, have the discussion. And Elrond has always won by going the extra mile, by demonstrating that it really pays off if you're friendly in the community, if you put the heart there and the mind. And we have an incredible community around the world of passionate people that are helpful, and we encourage that to encourage them to keep doing that, because this is the only way you can build something as big and then keep growing.
Well, and if you get haters, you're doing something well. So as long as you keep the effort in there and you keep pushing forward, then everything is fine, right? Speaking of moving forward, what can we expect from Elrond in the coming period, and where do you see Elrond going in the coming years? As it's accelerating fast for you right now, so it's a little cryptic question, but still, I would love to hear your view on that.
Sure. So as I've said, I think at the end of the day, it's very important to sort of quantify things, at least from to have some reference points here. Um, I believe Elrond is not even 1% of what it will become. So the growth that we have planned, the adoption paths that we have planned are incredible. We are having let's say, the most pain sometimes to deliver of this, and then the most fun because it's of course very exciting. But remember, I said this is a multi-trillion-dollar market, and Elrond will be among these projects that will reshape everything. I said Bitcoin will be there, Ethereum will be there, but Elrond could even perhaps be larger. It's not a discussion to have right now. It's just a discussion to where you focus on the fundamentals, focus on the adoption.
Mhm.
What I would then maybe add is, remember, nothing has happened yet. We're in day one. Everyone discovers blockchains, but banks have not yet adopted blockchain. The states have not yet adopted blockchain. The organizations or startups are barely scratching the surface. Someone will enable them to move into this digital space. There will be probably several companies trying to do this, but what we have is a technology that is live now. It's open source now. It has a very large community now. And beyond the state of the art technology, we have this user experience that will enable us to really target a different type of market that no one else can target. So, am I excited about the future? I could not be more excited. And it doesn't mean that things will not go up and down. We're not focusing on the market only and stuff like that. What we understand is we're focusing on creating the value. If we can create the value and improve the people's lives, the market will reflect that at some point. And we're happy with that. As you know, in the early internet days, there have been many companies. Some of them disappeared, but some of them um, are incredible. Just imagine being part of Amazon from their earliest days. Even in 2000 so just to give you some perspective, someone who invested 50K in Amazon in the earliest round had in 2018 $5 billion, and that was 2018. From that point, they
Yeah.
probably made another 10x at least, or even more. So it's this type of perspective over the long run with focus on real energy or real value, real technological adoption that drives everything else. The money is just the side effect of the adoption, and this is, I think, very important to understand.
Yeah, and I believe that that most of the people are focused on price value, while the actual fundamental value is way more important, which is changing people's lives. To end off the interview, what is your personal goal in life? As we have been discussing Elrond, and you are now the CEO of Elrond, what do you want to achieve in life? What makes you feel happy when you're like 65 years old? And
Hmm.
don't come with an answer, I want to make Elrond the biggest, but just yourself.
Uh, sure. So I would say this is since I'm very young and still very, very much focused on this. And what I focus on is I really think deeply about technologies that could be put on the scale of evolution, perhaps, and um, would improve the outcome for humanity, either improve the lives of a large group of people in a meaningful way, or benefit them or prevent dangers. So either improve or prevent dangers. And whatever you can do to actually bring this type of high impact, I think is very, very valuable. And this is why blockchain, I think, is going to have a huge benefit. And it's why I'm focusing on this right now. 65 is going to be a crazy period. Precisely because, and this is a different question, but I think um, if we're not going to all raise the standard of living, so health span and lifespan, so that 100 plus becomes the default in our lifetime, then
Mhm.
we're doing something super wrong. And then if this happens, if we're having another discussion at 100, just to remember our discussion now, I think 65 is just another warm up. 30 and something like that is a warm up, but then yeah, 65, it's a crazy life, crazy time span that will very, very likely be super different. So just think about artificial intelligence and where it is right now, just about to explode and unlock some interesting things. Biogenetics, what you can do if you really understand these things, and bioediting and so forth. And then, of course, all the discussions with respect to energy and what you could build there. And interestingly enough, I believe that the one thing that can accelerate all of this is an economic system that really works 100 times faster and better than the one we have right now, because then you can innovate faster, build things faster, and really make the future that you have at 65 become a reality much, much faster.
Well, it's already like if you go back in time, if you go back 40 years, we didn't even had a proper computer or internet. We didn't have mobile phones. So I'm really looking forward to the next coming 40 years, especially if we get DeFi and people can do what they want to do. And I'm not sure whether we're going to have a YouTube conversation then when we're both that age, but it was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much for that, Benjamin. Where can we find you? And do you have something to finish off to say to the listeners to end this conversation?
Sure. So we very much welcome people to take a look at Elrond, elrond.com, and Elrond Network on Twitter. They can check my Twitter. They are very welcome in the community, whether they're builders, they're businessmen, or investors, or any type of people are welcome. We want to have the conversations with them. The next period, as was the last period, is just a hypergrowth period for Elrond, where 100% focus on bringing this technology to the end users with a speed that will pay off in every sense, in the lives, in impact, in upside, in everything. And it's just this focus that I think will align a lot of people within the Elrond community. So thank you for the conversation.
Have a wonderful day, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.